Hello guys, and welcome to the never reading video, which is Shelter. Alright, so starts with Harlan Coben. He'll do whatever it takes to get to the truth. It says New York Times best-selling author. Mickey Bolitar, book 1. Says not alone. Alright. The basement door glowed. I knew the glow was in my imagination, or an optical illusion based on the fact that the light coming from the basement was bright while the rest of the house was so dark. That didn't help me calm me down. Sorry. I stayed still and listened. Now I could hear someone moving down there. Sorry, where was I? I moved closer to the door. There was voices. 2 people, both male. My phone buzzed again. Emma, get out! Get out! Part of me wanted to stay. Part of me wanted to fling open that basement door and take my chances. But another part of me, maybe the part of me that was millions of years old, that animal part was primordial part that still relied on survival instinct. Pulled up in a primordial animal looked at the glowing door and sensed danger behind it. Serious danger. I moved back to the front of the house. I turned the knob, opened the door, and ran. Here's the New York's Everquotes 2. Alright, we're getting started here. Shelter. Okay, so Anne Mysteries was sponsored by this video. For Charlotte, Ben, Will, and Eve. Alright, chapter 1. I was walking to school, lost and feeling sorry for myself. My dad was dead, my mom in rehab, my girlfriend missing. When I saw that bat lady for the first time, I had heard the rumors, of course. The bat lady supposedly lived alone in a dilapidated house. On the corner, sorry about that guys, I'm really sorry. Dilapidated house on the corner of Hobart Gap Road in Pine. You know the one I stood up in front of it now? The worn yellow paint was shedding like an old dog. The once solid concrete walk was cracked into the quarter-sized fragments. The uncut lawn was dandelions tall enough for the adult rides at Six Flags. The bat lady was said to be 100 years old and only came out at night. And if some poor child hadn't made it home for a play day or practice at the Little League field before nightfall, if he or she rested the walking home in the dark instead of getting the ride, or maybe was crazy enough to cut her through her yard, the bat lady got you. What she supposedly did with you was never made it clear. No child was vanished from this town of years. Teenagers like my girlfriend, Ashley, sure, there could be there one day. Holding your hand, looking deep into your eyes, making your heart go boom, 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 and be gone into the next. But the little kids, nope, they were safe even from a bat lady. So I was just about to cross to the other side of the street. Even I, a mature teenager entering my sophomore year at the brand new high school, wanted to avoid at the spooky house. When the door creaked open, I froze. For a moment, nothing happened. The door was all way open now. But no one was here. No one was there, sorry. I stopped and waited. Maybe I blinked, I can't be sure, but when I looked again, that lady was there. She could have been 100 years old, or maybe 200. I have no idea why they called her a bat lady. She didn't look like a bat. Her hair was gray, and she looked old, to be honest with you guys, and hippie long, hanging down to her waist. It blew into the wind, obscuring her face. She wore a torn white gown that resembled a bridal costume in an old horror movie or heavy metal video. Her spine was bent like a question mark. So the Bat Lady raised her hand. So a pale was a more vein blue than light. A pointed then shaky, bony finger in my direction. I said nothing. She kept pointing until she was sure I was looking. Sorry. When she saw that I was, Bat Lady's wrinkled face spread into a smile and sent the little icicles down on my spine. Sorry. Mickey, I have no idea how she knew my name. Your father isn't dead, but the lady said. Her words sent to a jolt that knocked me back a step. He is very much alive, but standing there, watching her vanish back into her decrepit cave. I knew that she was telling me that wasn't true, because I have seen my father die. Okay, that was weird. I stood into the front of the Bat Lady's house and waited for her to come back out. Now, no go. I walked over to her door and looked for the doorbell. There was no one. There was none, so I started pounding on the door. It shook under the onslaught. The wood was so rough it scraped my knuckles like a sandpaper. Paint chips fell off of the door had a bad case of dandruff. But the Bat Lady did not appear, so now what? Kick down the door. And then what? Find an old lady in a weird white dress and demand she explain her wackadoodle rants. Maybe she had gone upstairs. Maybe the Bat Lady was now getting ready for her loony day. Changing out of her white dress, heading to the shower. Ugh, time to go. I did not want to miss the first bell anyway. My homeroom teacher, Mr. Hill, was a stickler for punctuality. I'm gonna read it this way. I'm not sure. I get itchy so much a lot. My apologies. Plus, I still hoped that Ashley would show up today. She had vanished into the air, into thin air. Maybe she would just appear, repair, the same way. I met Ashley 3 weeks ago in high school orientation for both new kids. Ashley and me, for example, an incoming freshman, all of the one already knew one another because they went to the middle school and elementary school each other. No one ever seems to leave the town. Excuse me again. An orientation should consist of visiting your classes, getting to a tour of faculties, and maybe meeting a few classmates. But no, that's not enough. We have to participate in these moronic dehumanization. I cannot say that word right. I'm sorry, but dehumanization. Is that how you say it? I'm not really sure, but okay. And totally awkward team building exercises. But first involved the trustful Mrs. Owens, a PE teacher with a smile that looks like it been painted on by a drunk clown. Started by trying to fire us up. Good morning, everyone. A few groans, and then, I hate when adults do this, she shouted. I know you're going to do it more excited than that, so let's try again. Good morning, everyone. The students yelled, good morning! Louder this time, not because they were excited, but because they wanted her to stop. We were broken down into groups of 6. Mine featured 3 incoming freshmen and 3 upperclassmen who had just moved to town. One of you will stand to the pedestal and wear a blindfold, Miss Owens acclaimed. Everything she said ended in an exclamation mark. You will cross your arms, and now I want you to pretend that pedestal is on fire. Oh no! Miss Owens put her hands to her cheeks like a kid in Home Alone. Sorry again. Sorry. Okay. It's so hot that you'll have to fall back. Someone raised his hand. Why will we keep our arms crossed if the pedestal is on fire? Murmurs of agreement. Miss Owens painted on a smile didn't change, but I thought I noticed a twitch in her right eye. Your arms are tied. They are? No, they're not. Pretend. But if we pretend that, why do we need a blindfold? Can't we just pretend not to see or close our eyes? Miss Owens fought for control. The pedestal is so hot from the fire that you'll fall backward off of it. Backward. Wouldn't we jump, Miss Owens? Really? Why would we fall backward? I mean, if it's that hot. Miss Owens had enough. Because I say no, you will fall backward. The rest of the group will catch you. Then you will switch places until everyone has a turn falling backward. We all did this through, though some of us were hesitant. I'm 6'4" and weigh 200 pounds. The group wins. Excuse me again. When they saw me, another girl in my group, an incoming freshman dressed in all but in black, was on a fat side. I knew I should call her something other than fat. Something more politically correct, but I'm not sure what without sounding condescending. Large, chubby, heavy. I say those without judgment the same way, but I might say small, bony, or skinny, but big girl hesitated before she climbed on a pedestal. Someone in our group laughed. Then someone else, other than to show this girl then cruelty, will not stop when you get entered to high school. I have no idea how this exercise was supposed to help anyone. When the girl didn't fall back right away, one of the freshmen boys snickered and said, "Come on, Emma, we'll catch you." It was not a voice that gave her confidence. She pulled down her blindfold and looked back to us. I met her eye and nodded. Finally, she let herself fall. We caught her some adding dramatic grunts, but Emma didn't look any more trusting. Sorry again. We then played some dumb paintball game. They were two people got hurt, and then we moved into an exercise called "I Wish That I Were Kidding." That's a weird exercise, but okay. Poison peanut butter for this event. You have to cross over a 10-yard patch of poison peanut butter, but as Miss Owens explained, only two of you can wear the anti-poison shoes to get across at a time. In short, you have to carry other team members on your back. The small girls laughed with a tee-hee as they were carried. A photographer with the Star Ledger newspaper was there. Snapping away, the reporter asked a glowing Miss Owens questions, her answers filled with words like abandoning, welcoming, trusting. I couldn't imagine what sort of story you would do something on like this. But maybe they were desperate for a human interest material. But I stood back on a poisoned peanut butter line with the Emma. Black mascara was running down her face with what might have been silent tears. I wonder if a photographer would get that. As it came closer to Emma's turn for teammates to carry her across with the poisoned peanut butter, I could actually feel her start to shake in fear. Think about it. It's your first day at new school, and you're a girl who weighs probably 200 pounds, and you're forced to put on gym shorts. And then, to complete some inane group task, your new smaller classmates have to lug you like a beer keg for 10 yards, so you just have to curl up in a bar and die. Excuse me again. Who thinks this is a good idea? Miss Owens came over to our team. Ready, Emma? Emma with a long E, or Emma. I didn't know what her name was now. Emma said nothing. You go, girl. Right across the poisoned peanut butter. You can do it. Then I said, Miss Owens. Alright, we're still here, right? She turned her gaze on me. Then the smile never changed, but the eyes narrowed slightly. And you are. My name is Mickey Bolatar. I'm I'm an incoming sophomore, and I'm going to set out this exercise, if it's okay. Again, the flutter of Miss Owen's right eye. Excuse me? Yeah, I don't really think I'm up for being carried. The other kids looked at me like I have a third arm growing out of my forehead. Miss Bolitar, you're new here. Mr. Bolitar, sorry about that, I'm sorry. Mr. Bolitar, you're new here. The exclamation point was gone. Sorry. From Miss Owen's voice, I would think you would want to participate. Is it mandatory? I asked. Excuse me. Is participating in this particular exercise mandatory? Well, no, it's not, Amanda. But I'm setting out. I looked over at Emma. Would you mind keeping me company? We walked away then. Behind me, I could hear the world go silent. Then Miss Owens blew a whistle, stopping the exercise and calling out for lunch. Dude, what kind of exercise is that, really? When we were a few more feet away, Emma said, "Wow, what?" She looked me straight in the eye. "You saved the fat girl? I bet you're really proud of yourself." Then she shook her head and walked away. Really sorry, guys. Alright. Excuse me. Excuse me again. I looked behind me. Miss Owens watched us, and she still had that smile. The glare in her eyes made it clear that I managed to make an enemy my first day. The sun beat down upon me. I closed my eyes for a moment. I thought about my mother, who was coming home from rehab soon. I thought about my father, who was dead and buried. I felt very much alone. The school cafeteria was closed, and school opening was still feet away, still weeks away. So we all had to bring our own. I brought a buffalo chicken sub for a Wilkie's Deli and sat by myself on a grassy bill overlooking a football field. I was about to buy into it when I noticed her. She wasn't my type, though I didn't really have a type. I spent my entire life traveling overseas. My parents worked for a charitable foundation in places like Laos and Peru and Sierra Leone. I don't have any siblings. It was exciting and fun when I was a kid, but I got tiresome and difficult as I grew older. I wanted to stay in one place. I wanted to make some friends and play on one basketball team and, well, meet girls and do teenage stuff. It's hard to do when you're backpacking up in Nepal. The girl was very pretty for sure. She was also prim and proper and preppy. Something about her looked stuck up, though I couldn't say that. Her hair was a pale blonde of porcelain doll. She wore an actual skirt, not one of those short ones, and what might have been a bobby socks, and looked as though she just walked out of my grandparents' Brooks Brothers catalog. I took a bite on my sandwich, and then I noticed that she didn't have a lunch, so maybe she was on some kind of a weird diet. For some reason, I didn't think so. I don't know why I decided to walk over to her. I wasn't much in the mood to talk to her or meet anyone. I was still reeling for all the new people in my life and didn't really want to add any more. Maybe it was just because she was so pretty, and maybe I'm just as shallow as the next guy. Or maybe it's because of the lonely can be sometimes sense to lonely. Maybe what drew me to herself was the fact that, like me, she seems to want to keep to herself, so she probably wants to keep to herself, like, she really doesn't want to tell anyone. I approached tentatively when I got close enough. I gave a half and waved and said hi. I always open with super smooth lines like this, and she looked up at me in shaded eyes, the green of emeralds. Hi. Yep, you're very pretty. I stood there, and feeling awkward, my face reddened. My hands suddenly felt too big for my body. The second thing I said to her was, "My name is Mickey." Man, in my smoother way, every line is a killer. I'm actually Kent. Cool, I said. Yeah. Somewhere in his world, in China or India, or a remote section of Africa, there was probably a bigger dork than me. But I couldn't swear on that. I pointed at her empty lap. Did you bring lunch? No, I forgot. This sandwich is huge. I said, do you want half? Oh, I couldn't. But I insisted, and she invited me to join her. Ashley was also a sophomore and also new in town. Her father was saying, like, to tell her, well, she said was renowned as surgeon. Her mother was a lawyer. If life were in a movie, this was a part that you would stay in the music montage. Sun Sappy would be playing while they flashed to Ashley and me staring at lunch, or sharing lunch. Talking, laughing, looking coy, holding hands, and ending with that first chasty kiss. Is that how you say it? Is that how you say it, chasty? This was 3 weeks ago. I made it to Mr. Hill's class just as the bell sounded. He took a roll call, the end roll call. The bell pealed again, and it was time for the first period. Ashley's homeroom was across the hall. I waited and saw that yet again she wasn't there. I described Ashley before as my girlfriend. That might have been an exaggeration. We were talking it slow. I guess we kissed twice. No more. I didn't really like anyone else at my new school. I liked her. It wasn't love. But it was also early. On the other hand, feeling like this usually diminish. That's the truth. We like to pretend that they grow as we get. Alright, end of chapter 1. So, close to our new partner, but most times it's the opposite. We guys see that gorgeous girl and we get this big time crush, knowing that makes it hard to breathe and makes us so obnoxious when it's so bad that we always have to blow it. But we do somehow land her, that the feelings begin to diminish almost immediately. In this case, my feelings for Ashley really did grow. That was a little scary in a good way. But then one day I came to school and Ashley was absent. I tried her cell phone, but there was no answer. She was gone the next day too. Then the next, I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't have her home address. I checked her name Kent online, but they must have been unlisted. In fact, there was nothing about her online at all. Ashley has simply vanished into thin air. Alright, chapter 2. An idea came to me during third period. Ashley and I had only one class together. AP History was with Mrs. Friedman. She was my favorite teacher so far. She was theatrical in I don't know how to say that word, I'm sorry. Today she was talking about how well-rounded certain historical figures were, begging us to become Renaissance men or women. I hadn't talked to her privately yet. I hadn't talked to any of my teachers outside of the class yet. I kept to myself. That was my way. I know I got new kid stares, and one day a group of girls were giggling in my direction. One came up to me and said, "Can I have your phone number?" Confused, I gave to her. 5 minutes later, I heard giggling and my phone vibrated. Then the text read, "My friend thinks you're cute." I didn't respond. Yeah, do you guys ever get that? I sometimes get it too. Back in third grade, some girls were coming up to me pretty often. Didn't like that. After class, my name is a little blurry here. After class, I approached Mrs. Fryman. Mr. Bolitar. Mrs. Fryman said there was a smile that lit up to her face. I'm glad to have you in my class. I wasn't sure how to reply to that, so I went with, thank you. I never had your father, she said, but your uncle was one of my favorite students where you resemble him. My uncle, the great Myron Bolitar. I didn't like my uncle, was very tired of hearing how swell he was. My father and my uncle were very close to growing up. But then they had a major falling out for the last 15 years of my dad's life. Basically, from the moment I was conceived to the moment he died, the two brothers hadn't spoken. I guess I should have forgive Uncle Myron, but I'm not much in the mood. What can I do for you, Mr. Bolitar? When some teachers call you Mr. or Ms., it comes across as either patronizing or too formal. Mrs. Friedman hit the right note. As you probably know, I said slowly, Ashley Kent has been absent. And so she has. Mrs. Friedman was a short woman, and it took some effort to her look at the all way up to me. You two are close. We're friends. Oh, come, Mr. Bolitar. I may be old, but I see the way you look at her. Even Mrs. Caldwell is upset that she isn't catching to your eye. I written when she said this. Rachel Caldwell was probably the hottest girl in the school. Anyway, I said, dragging out the word. I was thinking maybe I could help her out. Helping her out how? I thought maybe I could get her homework and then, pass it on to her. Mrs. Friedman has been cleaning off the blackboard. Most teachers use the smartboard. But as Mrs. Friedman liked to joke, she was old school riddly. She stopped and looked at me. Did Ashley ask you to get her homework? Well, no. Okay, so one of my teachers in elementary school used a smartboard always. Yeah, you guys probably have that too. So you just took it up upon yourself. This was a dumb idea, even if she did give me the homework. Where would I bring it? I didn't know where Ashley lived. Never mind. I said thanks anyway. She put down the eraser. Mr. Bolitar. I turned back to her. Do you know why Ashley Kent has been absent? My heart started doing a slow thud. No, ma'am. But you're worried. I didn't see any point in lying to her. Yes, ma'am. She hasn't called you? No, she hasn't. Strange. Mrs. Friedman frowned. Or Mrs. Freeman. I don't know if I'm saying Freeman or Fryman, but let me know if I'm saying it right. All I can tell you is that I got a note saying I shouldn't expect Ashley back. I'm not sure I understand. That's all I know. Mrs. Freeman said I guess she moved away, but her voice trailed off. But what? Never mind, Mr. Bolitar. She started wiping the blackboard again. Just be careful. At lunchtime, I waited on the line at the cafeteria. I always figured that there would be more drama to a high school cafeteria. Yes, it was a full of cliques. The jocks here were called Laxbros, Lacrosse brothers. They all had long hair, big muscles, and started every sentence with the word "ya." There was a table of the nines, the white kids who think they're Asian. They loved manga, comics, and video games that matched. The pretty girls weren't so much pretty as skinny and with the two high heels. Expensive clothes, and they were the gamers and hipsters and the skaters, the druggies, the geeks and the feeder kids. There didn't seem to be much class warfare. These kids has been together for so long that they didn't really notice that the so-called outcasts who sat alone had been sitting alone for so many years. It wasn't so much cruelty as habit. It wasn't sure that was better or worse, but the kid would definitely hit into a game up to me with a tree in his hand. His pant cuffs were set to a flood level. His sneakers were pure white with no logo. I don't know if you guys ever had a light logo. I'm not sure if I did or not, but maybe I did. He pushed up his Harry Potter and glasses and lifted his tray in my direction. Hey, you want my spoon? He asked me. He asked me. I'm sorry, I cannot say ask correctly, even though I can, but I barely used it. I'm sorry, I cannot speak right. I looked at the tray, barely, yeah. He raised to the tray a little higher so I could see. The spoon sat into his syrupy fruit cup. No, I said, I'm good. You sure? Are they out of spoons or something? Nah, they got plenty. Okay, then thanks, no, I'm good. He shrugged, suit yourself. Then I finished buying lunch, spoon. That was how I thought of him now. He was waiting for me. Where are you gonna sit? He asked. Since Ashley had been vanished, I've been eating alone outside, I'm not sure. Spoon started to follow me. You're big and you keep to yourself. Like Shrek. Not Shrek the movie. A different Shrek. Not much to say that. I could be your donkey, you know. Okay, if I went outside, he would follow. So I looked for a safe place inside to sit. Or you're Robin, like Batman, or Robin, or Sancho. This started to remind me of that movie. Panza. You ever read Don Quixote? I don't know if that's how you say it. Quixote. Me neither, but I saw the musical Man of La Mancha. I love musicals, so does my dad. My mom, not so much. She likes cage fighting, like MMA. That's mixed martial arts. Dad and me, we go to a musical once a month. Do you like musicals? Sure, I said, scanning in the cafeteria for a safe haven. My dad's cool like that, taking me to the musicals and movie, not so much. I mean, Pierce Brosnan sings like some tickets because he works at the school. He's a janitor here. Okay, but don't ask him to give you access to the girls' locker room, okay? Because I asked him, and he said no dice, but Dad can be strict like that, you know. Yeah, I said, I know. There was nearly an empty table in the so-called outcast corner. The only person sitting here was my unappreciative damsel in distress. Emma. I still hadn't learned her name. So about being your donkey, I'll get back to you, I told Spoon. I hurried over and put my tray next to her. She had the heavy black makeup thing going on and shoe polish, black hair, black clothes, black boots, pale skin. She was gone for Emma or whatever they called that look now. That tattoos cover her forearms and one sneaked up to her shirt and around like a neck. She looked up at me with a face that cannot look more sullen without actually being punched. Oh great, she said. The pity sit. Pity sit? Think about it. I have never heard of that one before. I get it. Like I pity you for sitting alone, so I sit with you. She rolled her eyes. And here I pegged you for a dumb jock. I'm trying Renaissance man? I'm trying to be a Renaissance man. You have Mr. Freeman too. I see. She looked to her left and then to her right. Where's your preppy girlfriend? I don't know. So from sitting with a prissy, pretty girl to sitting with me. Emma shook her head, talking about a big step down. I was getting tired of thinking of her as Emma. What's your name? What do you want to know? I heard a kid calling you Emma. I heard Miss Owens called you Emma. She picked up her fork and started playing with her food. I noticed now that she pierced eyebrows. Ouch. My real first name is Emma, but everyone calls me Emma. Emma. Why? I just want to know what to call you. Grudgingly, She said Emma. Well, that's kind of... Okay, I like it. It's okay, I like it too. Okay, Emma. She played with her food somewhere, so that's what your deal. So what's your deal? I mean, when you're not rescuing the fat girl, your bitter act. I said it's a little over the top. You think? Well, dial it back. She shrugged. You might be right. So you're the new kid, right? I am. Where you're from? We traveled around a lot. I said, how about you? She grimaced. I lived in this town my whole life. Doesn't seem to be too bad. I don't see you fitting in yet. I don't want to fit in. Emma liked that reply. I looked down at my tray. I picked up my spoon and thought of, well, spoon. I shook my head and smiled. What, Emma asked? Nothing. It was weird to think about this, but when my father was my age, he sat in this very cafeteria and ate his lunch. He was young and had his whole life ahead of him. I glanced around the room and wondered where he would have to sit, who he would talk to, if he laughed as easily back then as when I had known him. These thoughts become like a giant hand pushing down on my chest. I blinked and put it down to the spoon. Hey, you okay? Emma asked. Fine. I thought about the bat lady and what she had said to me. Crazy old bat. Hey, maybe that's where she got the nickname. You don't just get the rep like hers or nothing. You get it for her doing crazy things, like telling a boy who said his father died in a car crash that the man missed so much was still alive. I flashed of a day in just 8 months ago, when we landed in Los Angeles. My father and my mother and me, my parents wanted to give me a place when I could go to my high school and play for a real basketball team and maybe go to college. Nice plans, right? Now my dad was dead and my mother was shattered. Emma, I said. She looked at me warily. Do you know anything about the bat lady? Emma frowned. When she did, the mascara on her eyes folded up and then spread out like a fan. Now I get it. What? Why you sat here? Emma said. You figured, what? The crazy fat girl would know all the crazy old bat lady. What? No. Wait, is that the end? Okay. I was just making sure. Okay, so Emma rose with her spray. Just leave me alone, okay? No way, you don't understand. I understand fine, but you did your good indeed. Will you stop that, Emma? She hurried away. I took a step to follow her and stopped. Two big muscle heads wearing Veracity football jackets snickered. One kid up to my right, to the other on my left, the one on my right, the one on my left and one on my right. The name stenciled in cursive on his chest was a book. Slapped me too hard on the shoulder and said, "It looks like you struck out, huh?" The other musclehead, stencil named Troy, laughed at that. Yeah, Troy said, struck out with the fat chick, back to Buck, fat and ugly. Troy, and you're still struck out. Dude, Buck and Troy high-fived each other. Then they turned and put their hands up for me to high-five. Buck said, up tops, bro. I frowned. Didn't you guys have steroid needle that needs an ass cheek? Their mouth both formed surprise O's. I pushed past them. Buck called out, we ain't done with this, dead man. Yeah, Troy added the dead man. Totally dead. Dead man. Man, I hope that nickname didn't stick. As I chased after Emma, I saw Mrs. Owens, who was working at the cafeteria monitor, moved quickly to cut me off. Was a gleam into her eyes. Miss Owens hadn't forgiven me for the team building fiasco. Still with a painted smile, she got the right up to my face and blew her whistle. We don't run in the cafeteria, she said, or we get a week's detention. Do I make myself clear? I looked around me, but Buck made a gun with his finger and dropped the hammer. Emma dumped her tray and headed through the doors. Miss Owens smiled and dared me to run after her. I didn't. Yes, I was making friends fast. Alright, end of chapter 2. Alright, I'm gonna stop at chapter 3 and I'll do more.